Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another day of lockdown lessons. So this week we've been looking at or working with the non-dominant side of the body. To give a little bit of kind of further information about that, and perhaps to talk or introduce today's lesson, I want to just briefly kind of think about or describe the experience of being clumsy. So the experience of being clumsy is that your physical action doesn't always meet your intention. So, for example, if you intend to step in that place or put this thing on that shelf or pick up something or move an object in a specific way, that in some way your physical sense of what you think you are going to do does not meet particularly well in that moment with what you actually do. So another way of describing that would be being discoordinated. So there's a couple of principles within the Feldenkrais method that I think are really useful and really productive as ideas to look at the concept of clumsiness. And if you think that we all in some way have some aspect of ourself that is clumsy. So for example, the skill and dexterity that I have with my right hand is not the same as the skill and dexterity that I have with my left hand. Further than that, the skill and dexterity I have with my left hand is not the same as the skill and dexterity I have with my left foot. So I could say that my right hand is the least clumsy, my left hand is less clumsy than my right, is more clumsy than my right hand, and my left foot is even more clumsy than my left hand. That might be a clumsy way of describing that relationship, but in some way, and this is proven by people that have learned how to do a very fine or a very broad range of movements with their feet. So it's actually possible for us to improve the skill of our feet. And I think tomorrow's lesson, I'm going to look at that in a little more detail. But today, the purpose of this lesson is more to do with the initial step, not to do with action. It's actually to do with awareness. So part of the mechanism, or part of the sort of relationship or dynamic of clumsiness, is that we don't know that part of our body as well as another part of our body that's less clumsy. And you could bring that back to the neurological level in terms of the way that the neurons are mapped in the brain, the pathways through the nervous system to the limb that you're moving. But you could also just kind of make it more practical than that and think that I use my right hand more than my left hand. So in using my right hand, that's actually developing skill that my left hand doesn't have the same level of, because I don't use it as much. So that's a little introduction for today's lesson, and maybe something interesting for you to think about in the context of your own experience. Like, what do you have parts of you that you feel a little bit clumsy with, and is a way that you can work on that? Is there a way that you can work on that? Great. So thank you very much for watching. If you're ready, we'll start the lesson. Today's lesson's a little bit like a meditation. So if you're in the mood for that, this is going to be perfect. So when you're ready, what I'd like you to do is just kind of, tune in with yourself. Take a moment to feel your contact with the chair. Let your breath settle down. Let yourself settle down into the experience or the exercise. Great. And as you do that, what do you become aware of? Where does your awareness naturally get drawn to in yourself? And if I kind of follow on from my point earlier, our awareness generally is going to come to the areas that we know better of ourselves, and it's going to not go to the areas that we know less well. And that's because it doesn't know that it can do that. It hasn't learned that relationship. So today's lesson is going to explore bringing our awareness to the left side of our body. For me, again, that's my non-dominant side of the body. The right is my dominant side. If that's reversed for you, if you feel that you're more left-sided than you are right-sided, then you can swap this over and do this on the other side. Great. So the first thing that I'd like you to do is, as you sit there, just to imagine a line going through the middle of you, almost like you're, like an anatomy drawing or some kind of weird sort of sculptural thing, that you draw a line like a plane of glass all the way through the body. And that's going down through the midline, through the center of the head, kind of passing through the nose, the middle of the mouth, the middle of the chest, all the way down the belly button. And just imagine that you've kind of got a line, and we're going to separate everything on the left of that line to everything on the right of that line. Okay, and that line is going throughout you, so it's not just the front of the body, it's also the back of the body. So in your imagination, just imagine a plane of glass kind of coming through the middle of you and making a clear distinction between the left and the right. Great. So when you're ready, what I'd like you to do is just begin to notice on the left side of you what your body is in contact with. So that's through the medium of touch. On the left side of you, obviously, if you're sitting down or you're lying down, you're going to be in contact with a surface. So with, for example, let's start with the left leg. Can you feel how your left foot is resting on the floor? How does the floor feel to the left foot? Whereabouts on the bottom, on the sole of the foot, is actually feels like you have some relationship, you're in contact with the floor. Good. And then move to the next place on the leg that you can feel contact. For me, that's the back of my knee, or the kind of calf area where I feel some contact with the back of the chair. So just move your attention to the next place on the left leg that you feel contact. Good. And maybe you can notice your breathing as you do that. And move your attention up your leg and feel the sense of contact on the back of the left thigh, and the left buttock. So how you're sitting on the chair or sitting on the floor or whatever object you're on the left side. And like, where is the sense of contact strongest? Where does it feel that it lifts away a little? Great. So then notice, if you move your attention kind of to somewhere else that you have contact, perhaps your left arm is resting on yourself in some way. So just notice if your left arm is resting on yourself, maybe you've got it on your lap or on the top of your left leg. And just notice the sense of contact. How does it feel? How does the contact between your leg and your hand feel? Kind of bringing you into this kind of the sensory experience of touch and what the left side of you is in contact with. Good. And then there's a further layer than that, that if you were to feel for a moment the sensation of the clothes on the left side of your body. So your skin obviously is in contact with some material, and that material in certain parts of the body will feel tighter, in other parts would feel looser. So just kind of spread your attention out and see, can you feel across the whole of the left side of yourself this sense of contact, this sense of touch with the clothing, the material on that side of you. The clothing that we wear very often comes into our sense of self-awareness, so we kind of forget that it's there. But when you take a moment and you really pay attention, you can kind of feel that relationship. You can feel that subtle sense of contact, the touch between your leg and your trousers or your jeans. Good. Okay. And so what I'd like you to do now is just, again, think back down to the left leg and see if you can get a sense of the shape of the leg. So now we're moving away from the sense of touch and we're more kind of having some awareness or some internal image of what the actual shape of the leg is. And this can be to do with the diameter of the leg. It could be to do with the width or the depth of the leg. But just see, as you've got your eyes closed, as you sit there, can you feel what shape your leg is? And then move your attention down and notice the shape of the knee. And this is obviously using your internal sense, your interoception. But it's also a relationship with the outside world and the shape having some impact on how we relate to the outside world. And that's your exteroception. Great. Move your attention further down your leg and feel the shape of the calf. Can you identify just in your internal sense of yourself, you know, the kind of bulging muscle at the back, the calf muscle, and like where it changes shape, what the shape of the shin is, how the bones are shaped in that part of the leg. Good. Move your attention down to your foot and feel the shape of your foot. It's a funny shape if you compare it with the shape of the leg. It's like they're a different shape. So just in your internal sense of yourself, what's the shape of your foot? What can you perceive about your foot's shape? Maybe you could even extend that down into the little toes, or all the toes. What shape are your toes? Good. Bring your attention back up the body and just rest the attention on the upper arm, and get a sense of the shape of the upper arm on the left side. Again, this is everything staying on the left. And just feel, again, you've got the diameter, you've got the roundness, the sense of roundness of the arm. You've also got the width of the arm, how wide it is. You've got the depth of the arm, how deep it is. Good. And then move your attention down to the elbow, where the upper arm joins with the lower arm. And just see, again, can you use your internal sense and your external sense to develop or build some image, mental image of the shape of your elbow? Like, how does the two bones of the lower arm and the upper arm converge, and what shape do they create? Great. Move your attention down to your lower arm. Again, feeling the shape of the muscle that's more towards the upper part of the lower arm. The forearm muscle. How does that muscle kind of create shape of the arm? And how does it change as you move downwards towards the wrist? Do you feel a sense of width that's different at the top of the lower arm to where it joins in with the wrist? Good. And then move your attention down to your hand. Again, feeling the sense of the diameter of the hand. So that could be, again, the width of the hand. And the width would be different at the palm than it is at the fingers. You've got the depth of the hand. So how deep is the hand from the top of the hand, the kind of the knuckles down to the palm, to the softer part of the hand. Like what's your internal sense of depth of your hand? Great. And then check in with your fingers as well. Just feel the shape of each finger, or the shape of your fingers as a whole. And now in some way you've mapped out the physical shape of your left leg and your left arm. So let's move inwards to the center of the body, but still remaining on the left side. Just see if you can get some sense of the shape of the left side of your torso. So that's from the shoulder area down to your pelvis. Of course, the ribs, the bones of the ribs create specific shape, and that changes as you move down from the upper rib to the middle of the ribs to the lower ribs. Each rib is a slightly different shape, comes out from the body at a slightly different angle. And don't forget the shoulder as well. You've got the shoulder structure on the left side, the collarbone and the shoulder blade, and how they form, how they join in with the arm. Good. And maybe as you feel that part of yourself, and you feel your shoulder, and you feel your ribs, and the upper part of your torso, you can also just check in with your breathing and feel how the breath kind of moves those areas, how those areas respond to the process of breathing. Everything's staying on the left side. Great. Move your attention down to the left side of your abdomen. Left side of your abdomen, and also the left side of your lower back. See if you can feel those both at the same time, and see if you can sense what's the depth of the body, what's the distance between the front of the abdomen and the back of the lower back. What's your internal sense of depth between your stomach, the front of your stomach and the back of the back? Great. And maybe you also can feel the side of the abdomen and the lower back, and feel a sense of the diameter of the body. Of course, we're just staying on one side, but you can still feel the roundness of that area. Good. Move your attention down to your pelvis. And the pelvis is this kind of like bowl-like structure at the bottom of the body. Again, joining the torso in with the legs. This transitional space between the legs and the torso. And just see if you can kind of just generally, just in a very general way, kind of get a sense of the shape of the pelvis. The front part of the pelvis, the pubic bone, around to the side of the body, the side part of the pelvis, where maybe you feel the kind of the bigger outside bone of the iliac crest. It's like the elephant wings of the pelvis. But then also down kind of to the bottom of the pelvis, what you're sitting on, that sense of contact that we looked at the beginning. Great. And lastly, the back of the pelvis. And maybe again, you can feel what's the relationship, the sense of depth between the front of the pelvis and the back of the pelvis. Okay. So there's one part of the body that we've missed out so far in terms of sensing the shape of the body. So I'd like you to move your attention up to your head. So far we've done the left leg, the left arm, and the left side of the torso, but we haven't done the left side of the head. So keeping this imaginary line down through the middle of the body, paying attention just to the left side, everything to the left side of that line. Begin to map out in your internal sense of yourself the shape of the head on the left side. So of course you've got the shape of the skull, the bones of the head. What shape is your skull? Can you feel without touching, just using your internal sense of yourself? I think we did some lessons around this subject last week. Good. So you can feel the front of the skull, the forehead area, over the top, more kind of to the top left side of the skull, where our hair generally is, and the back of the left side of the skull, feeling kind of the roundness of that area. And what's the sense of depth between the front of the skull, where the left side of the forehead is, and the back of the skull, where the occiput is, our visual center at the back of our head? How deep is the skull? Good. And then move your attention to the side, and maybe you can just kind of get a sense of that sort of circular shape. How does the kind of diameter of the skull feel to you? Good. And then move your attention down to the shape of your ear. Feel the shape of your ear. And the ear has some specific functions. You can obviously hear, also get a sense of balance from the ear. But in terms of your hearing, just to kind of bring in the senses a little, in terms of your hearing, maybe you can hear my voice, maybe you can hear some of the background noises in my flat, maybe you can hear some of the background noises in your own flat. Just kind of getting a sense of the outside world from the hearing sense, at the same time as just being aware of the shape of yourself. Great. Move your attention inwards to the kind of the bridge of the eyebrow. The bridge of the eyebrow. The kind of the casing that surrounds the eye, the skeletal casing that surrounds the eye. So you've got the inside ridge of the nose, you've got the cheekbone, the eyebrow on the left side. And feel within that the eye, the shape of the left eye. Can you feel the shape of your left eye? I tend to think of the eye as a circle. The eye is not a perfect circle. It has a bit of a change of shape at the front where the lens is. But just see, can you feel the shape of your left eye? And if that's difficult for you, see if you can feel the shape of the structure that kind of protects the eye. As you've got your eyes closed, maybe you can just notice the sense of what your visual processing is doing on the back of the left eyelid. Is there any color? Is there any kind of changing shapes? Just again, kind of like bringing in the senses into this sense of building the shape of ourselves. So this is the kind of the bridge between our external environment and our internal environment. Great. Move your attention down to the left side of your nose. Feel the left side of your nose. Again, you've got this line separating down the midline. For most people in their body, they call that the septum. Some people's septums are over to one side or another. So can you feel if that's the case for you? Great. And again, bringing in the senses again, just notice what can you smell or how can you feel the breathing through the left nostril. Let's take a moment, take a few in-breaths, check if you can smell anything. There's a difference in terms of the kind of the way the air moves through the nose, at the top of the nose, the middle of the nose, and the bottom part of the nose. And generally, when we're smelling, we're using the upper chamber of the nose. And when we're breathing, we're generally using the two lower chambers. But that's not completely, they're not completely separate from each other. They're all involved. But just to give you a sense that there's more going on, there's a bigger sense of internal depth or internal definition than we're usually aware of. Great. Maybe you can just notice the smells that you've got in your environment. I've got a nice fresh coffee sitting in front of me. Okay, and then move your attention down to the shape of your mouth, just on your left side. Feel the internal shape of the mouth, the mouth cavity, from the upper part of the mouth to the lower part of the mouth, feeling the left side of the tongue within the mouth, and also feeling the left side of the jaw, the connection of the jaw back into the central part of the skull. Good, and just to utilize the mouth, one of the ways that we use the mouth is to create sound. So just see if you can hum for a moment, or say a couple of words, and see how the left side of your mouth is producing that sound. And as you produce that sound, part of the sound production is down into our throat. So see if you can then begin to kind of move your attention down into the left side of your neck, feeling your throat, feeling the left side of your cervical spine, the depth between the front of your neck and the back of your neck, the diameter of the neck, what shape is it, and how does it join down in with the torso? How does the neck become part of the shoulders or become part of the chest? Great. And then just in your attention, just as a way of kind of concluding that exploration, awareness exploration, just see if you can get a global sense of the left side of yourself, including the shape of the left leg, the shape of the left arm, the left side of the torso, the front and the back of the body, the neck on the left side, and the head on the left side. And just see if you can kind of hold it all in your awareness for a moment. And see how you feel on that side of yourself now that you've used 20 minutes of your day to kind of spend your attention just kind of checking and watching and following in yourself with your attention, building awareness in some way, getting to know yourself in some way. How does the left side of yourself feel? So I use the image of a light bulb in this lesson, just to kind of give a sense that as we do this and we build awareness, it's like we're in some way switching on that part of the body. So what I would suggest is after the lesson, just maybe go around your environment, what you're doing today, and just see if you can incorporate the left side of yourself. You know, see if you can bring into action everything that we've developed in terms of self-awareness and bring it into action and see if there was clumsiness or a sense of clumsiness in that side of yourself prior to the lesson. See if anything's changed as a result of becoming more aware of yourself. And of course it is a process, and it's a process of managing or balancing this kind of awareness of ourselves with our action and then refining our action depending on the two. But just notice, just by bringing awareness to yourself and your left side or your non-dominant side, has something changed in your relationship with your environment and what you're able to do. Great. Okay, Well, that was today's lesson. I hope that the people watching enjoyed it. I hope that anyone watching afterwards enjoys it. If you have any comments or feedback, please put them down in the chat. If you want to rewatch the lesson to do it on the other side, which is a worthwhile thing to do, you can do that in my community group. You can also do it on YouTube. I've said all of this stuff enough that people probably know it. So I think I'll just leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Okay, take care. Bye.